My audio sounded better than I thought it would, but I would appreciate anybody's input. If anybody's listening to this on the replay, I'd like to know what it sounds like for you. You know, different people with different listening devices. So, disclaimer, this is my thoughts, commentary, opinions only, for entertainment purposes only. I'm talking about the new non-pandemic causing outbreak that the news can't seem to get enough of. And I really want to make an edited video out of this, but like, you know how that goes. So I think it's super interesting that they are obviously trying to propagandize this, in my opinion. And I want to say up front, not a medical expert, not giving medical advice. And I am going to say that kind of a lot just because I really care about my channel and the community we're creating here. I don't want to put it at risk, but I can't stress that enough. I am not a medical expert. This is all for entertainment purposes only, okay? Oh my goodness. Like, so this is also a sentiment I'm going to keep repeating, especially as if we gain some more traffic. I'm sorry I'm going live so late, but I thought it might also be a good opportunity to maybe catch some people that don't usually catch them earlier. Okay, I need to work on my ums. We encounter countless pathogens every day, and that's the thing that I titled this why you shouldn't worry. I'm not saying that you shouldn't worry at all about anything, but this is why you shouldn't worry about this particular virus or any, with the exception of immunocompromised individuals. I am not, of course, there's always going to be exceptions, right? But Carrie Mullis, he was the inventor of the PCR test. There's so many videos with him on YouTube. If you haven't seen them, I would highly recommend you look up Carrie Mullis PCR test. And the things that he says are super interesting. Like, there's a Buddhist notion that everything is contained within everything else. And he said there's very few molecules, I'm sorry, there's very few molecules you don't have at least one of in your body. And he was talking about, oh, hey, Keith, how are you doing? Hi, JC, how are you? You can find almost anything that you're looking for. And mind you, there's 10,000 plus viruses that are unnamed. Like, we encounter so many pathogens on a daily basis. Like, if you didn't know, there's always some mold spores in your air. A good air quality is going to have fewer of them, but there is, for the most part, like always some mold. You're never in a pristine environment. And it's the same thing. And it's like good for your immune system, right? To like get a workout that isn't a good goal to have to be sterile. So once again, I'm not an expert. I'm not giving medical advice. Thank you, Gata. That's nice. Um, uh, I'm talking to you, Bo. So that's what I want to say up front. And Carrie Mullis said that over 10,000 viruses are unnamed. I don't know if you meant viruses or pathogens, but just think of all the viruses, bacteria, mold, different stuff you're exposed to all the time. People fearmonger with these viruses. And as the news reports incessantly on this, they keep being quick to say this isn't going to be a pandemic and this is why. No, this won't be a pandemic. Then why is everybody talking about it so much? And everybody had to be vaccinated against many things as a baby, Keith said. Yes, Keith. And that's another thing. Once again, I'm not giving any medical advice, but it's just really interesting and I understand, of course, some of those things. People were really glad to have the vaccines for, like, especially polio and everything. Like, they definitely were for viruses that were of high concern. I saw a really interesting fact that I didn't know about. I had heard that people inoculated in ancient China. Like, they had this early form of vaccination where you'd like scratch your skin. Like, basically you would put dried powder that came from an infected wound of smallpox. Well, they were doing this in Africa, which like makes sense that like I don't know if it started in Asia for sure, but I'm pretty sure it did. Like literally 2,000 years ago, they were doing this in Asia. And it was an enslaved man who told people during the beginning of the worst smallpox outbreaks here, I'm sorry, I think it was around like 1710s. I might be wrong about that, sometime in the 1700s. And he said, I didn't get it because I won't get, because I got this thing where, and he explained the process. And then, of course, so people started doing it after much like, because that was one of the worst things colonial person could do is believe something a black enslaved person had to say, like, some kind of wisdom about something. So anyways, that's a true story. Of course, I'm not going to be able to remember his name, but it was a name given to him by English people. Like, it wasn't we don't know his true, like, name that he was given. um, but it's Hi Javier, how are you doing? It's really interesting to think about all the different things, and so this is one reason. And I'm not saying I'm not giving medical advice, but if you wonder why anybody is ever anti-vaccine, there's so many reasons. And just keep in mind, like, we encounter many things on a daily basis they don't make vaccines for, and obviously they're like always looking to make vaccines for something. They reported, oh, they don't have one for humans for hantavirus because there isn't the funding. So that's really interesting that they just like say that like that. It's literally impossible to, even if they had a vaccine for every disease that we know of, could you imagine, like, you wouldn't be able to get them all, And it is quite insane. So anyways, the fact that they just bring up they don't have a virus, but there is one in production. They have made one before. I found a patent that had expired. I couldn't find the new patent though, but like these news reports straight up say they haven't had the funding. So that's why there is not one yet. Hi, Abdal. How are you? Abdallah. Hi, user. How are you? Do you believe that COVID-19 was a DNA alteration? Danon, I do think, I don't know if by DNA alteration you mean like made in a lab. I do think it was bioengineered, possibly. And this is also really interesting to me, how it is something that is usually, rodent to rodent, and how that coronavirus, how they said it went from like the bat to the human. I don't know. I don't know much. I am not an expert, but I do know enough about medicine to know things are so compartmentalized, and rightfully so. I don't think that they did this on purpose just to confuse people. It's just the nature of having like a complex anatomy and all the things that go with it. But like virologists and immunologists and like then they're so compartmentalized from the rest of the actual doctors and medical professionals that treat us. They don't it's just like part of the issue, in my opinion. I think that they're way behind when it comes to a lot of things. And I definitely believe in, I have a job, dog slicer. That's kind of a weird name. No autism in the Amish community. I don't know about that, Philip. I think that if they did, they probably, not that they wouldn't get their kids therapies or something, but I mean, it's harder and harder to get therapies for kids that need it. I've heard that before, but some of them do vaccinate, if that's what you're getting at. Some of them do. You'd be surprised, like almost anything you can think of. It's like some Amish people are pretty lax. Hi, Combat Baby, how are you? You look like Lorraine from The Conjuring. I don't know who that is, regular. The so-called hantavirus. Oh, hi, Chip. How are you doing? Yes, I do have a job. Do you have a job, Carding? Well, Carding, you didn't do anything wrong. Ask me if you have a job. Do you have a job, dog? You're probably not in here anymore. I don't want another lockdown. Right. That is what I was thinking when I made the title. I'm like, I'm talking about why not to worry about viruses in particular. Like that heightened fear of your life being in more danger than usual. Like there is a need to worry, especially when it comes to, I think all humans that are social, we're social beings, but especially children. It was detrimental for children. No, like it shouldn't. Hantavirus is pretty deadly, but it doesn't transmit human to human that well. And who the heck goes bird watching at landfills? The professional commentator. I know what you mean. If anybody doesn't know what professional is talking about, this first person who died, right? That man who died on the boat, on the cruise ship, he had went to see some rare bird. And I'm sorry, I don't remember her name. I brought this up. It's just really interesting. And this has happened a lot. There was a scientist in Argentina in the beginning of this year. It was even articles from like April 1st talking about how she had stolen H1N1 and like H3N2, two kinds of flu viruses from that lab. And once again, I'm no expert, but I remember people talking about how they might have like pieced together things from other viruses from COVID. So it's like, even though they are different viruses, who knows how they might be able to. Oh, I just remembered the patent for the first hantavirus vaccine. They were basically like using the flu vaccine and, like the method of however they like use eggs. Sometimes they do other stuff. But that Oh, yeah, that's interesting. And recently, a case in Illinois, they're just trying to freak us out. It's so obvious they're like trying to freak people out. It's not a pandemic. It's not a pandemic. Then why are you reporting on it so much? Once again, there's over 10,000 pathogens we haven't even named that a lot of us encounter on a pretty regular basis. You encounter countless pathogens on a daily basis. I am going to catch up in the chat. First pandemic from bats. Now the second one will come from rats. This has been a prophecy predicted. Philip, I didn't think about it like that, but you are so right. Hi, Free. How are you doing in California? I'm jealous. The professional commentator. What prophecy? He's saying to Philip. They did it to call all free thinkers. I have no job. Proud about it too. Keith. Right. Okay. Thank you for saying that, Keith, because like I don't want anybody to feel bad about not having a job in the chat. So yeah, whenever somebody says something like that and then I say, I do have a job, that's like part of like it shows I'm insecure from being a stay-at-home mom for so many years. And if you watch any of my lives long enough, especially when we're talking about certain subjects involving motherhood, especially, there's always that you see it. There's people that say stay-at-home moms are lazy, you're lazy, you're lazy. And then there's people that are like, that's the only thing you're meant to do as a woman. It's so weird to me. And like most people don't praise it. Watching from Nigeria. That's so cool, Dejan. Am I saying your name right? How are you? Looking up at the nighttime sky, one sees a shining stars and the moon reflecting over the seas. Well, they are reflections of your eyes, Chip. Good night, Philip. I like the color of your eyes, Free said. Thank you. And then somebody said, dead eyes. Maximum life is 100 years. Why the fuck would I give half my lifetime to a job? And then to end up poor, to still be poor. Then I might have your home being bought out to have a data center installed and have to like go find expensive ass housing after you paid your house off. Best case for some people. Oh, it makes me so mad. And raising wildflowers. She is somebody who lives in Europe now, or I'm sorry, I forget exactly where they've been in, like Albania and Thailand. They might not be in Europe, but she left the United States, her husband and their small child, and she makes some really good content. She made talking about like Appalachia and people that live in like a third world country conditions here. And anyways, I just thought of her. It's just crazy how some people work so hard to like barely stay afloat. It's depressing. And there's a lot of people that aren't going to be able to. I just think we're definitely at the end of a cycle. Not many people can hang on much longer. And I know that sounds super, I'm trying to look at it as like this is an opportunity for things to really happen. But I don't like knowing people are like hitting their rock bottoms. They are purposely blowing this virus out of proportion to get another lockdown. I agree, Kaden. I agree. Osama said, yep, the COVID lockdown happened when I was in middle school. And after it ended, I was left with very bad social anxiety. But I have gotten a lot better since then, and I don't want to start back at square one. Oh, Ian, well, you sound very self-aware, and that's great, but I'm not trying to be dismissive of everything you went through. Like, that sucks. I hate that. I have teenage sons, and you should be, just looking forward to life and setting goals and working towards them at your age, and you shouldn't be going through stuff like that. And I just can't believe it. I remember learning about like the bomb drills they would have in like the 40s and how different, and even during the Cold War they would do stuff like that. But like we didn't as kids, but it was like, oh, like some of the things our grandparents went through and like the whole world was dangerous. And now it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't think that would be happening to us. My time is my treasure, always, Keith said. No, that is true. You are so right. That's why and anybody that is looking for a job, just try not to give up hope. I know it's easy for me to say that like I could take all the time to look for a job, but I got a part-time job that seems to be really good. I go in one day this week, so it'll be like the moment of truth. But from everything I saw about it, it's like I can definitely do this. And I am so glad. I am so excited. So just hang in there. And I know the job market sucks, and I like to work like second shift, and this is third shift. So it might be a little easier for me to get a job because I understand a lot of people don't want to work those hours. No wine tonight. Cortana, this lady is now an owner of 2 cats, 1 dog, and 5 parrots. LOL. Ben, I wish I had, I would definitely want like a huge house if I had birds like that, but I would love to have some parrots. But once again, I'd have to have a huge house. You should feel bad for not having a job if you're not a stay-at-home mom or dad. Doctor, in this economy, everything going on now, I don't agree with that at all. I don't want anybody to be living like impoverished and hungry, but like I don't blame anybody that can live without having a job for not having a job when they're an hourly worker, especially, or even a salaried one. Even if, like so many people, 60% of nurses quit within the first 2 years of becoming a nurse. And a lot of that has to do with like the upper management and other nurses. And it's, and probably somewhat the patients and stuff too, but a lot of it is like their hours and everything. And they have this saying, nurses eat their young. That's like a saying because people know how um crappy they can be to each other, I guess. I think that's horrible. But yeah, I do think that this is, I don't want to be so negative, but this is like the next Great Depression. I don't think a lot of people realize how bad it is because we've got our screen time addictions and like things are like so out of whack though that you see the inflation went up. They're saying like 3.3%. So really it's probably like 6. It can only, that's what I do. And once again, I'm no expert. But like this hantavirus stuff, I do feel like it is a distraction. They don't want us to think about like what the impending doom. There's so much going on with our food, with farmers, that here there is going to be like real food increases, probably most likely. We're looking at some things like doubling, tripling, because it's not just the fertilizer, it's the cost of the diesel gas, it's the cost of the extra irrigation because we're in a drought, or a lot, like 69% of our states are in a drought. And it's just like everything. So it makes sense to me is people are talking about these things in the data centers. Every time you turn around, there's like a new data center story, right? I keep seeing people talk about that one in Utah that's Kevin O'Leary is doing, where it's like, this is why technocracies aren't sustainable. It turns into the men with the most money going and buying out like whole towns for their next little projects. And it's so heartbreaking. Some of these stories, there's like one in Georgia. I am from Kentucky Free, and that's where I live now. I miss you, honey. Oh my goodness, Mr. Mark. Um, it's funny. I usually have, and I'm not complaining about my moderators, but I usually have mods. And last night I didn't the whole time, which is fine. Cataclysm is coming soon anyway, apparently, Keith said. I got a psychosis induced by medical marijuana and the high anxiety to fall in the street and being disabled. The cops illegally break in and almost shot me. I'm so sorry to hear that, Crafty. That sounds awful. I hope you're doing better now. Oh, hey, Fendi. Right when I said there wasn't any mods and Fendi shows up. How are you? Fendi, I think they're trying to distract us with this hantavirus stuff. If you haven't noticed all the news reports, which I'm sure you probably have. One thing I wanted to talk about was Kerry Mullis was the inventor of the PCR test. And I keep telling myself I'm going to make an edited video on this. I want to show how it's like, oh, there's a case in Illinois that's like, they're saying is a contact case, but it's not related or something. But obviously, it's so weird. Like, how much are you trying to freak us out? And then there's this lady that went from, she just like landed on the ship. She wasn't like a part of the ship, the cruise the whole time, but she went for like a day or two. And then she goes, it's like, sound like fucking Carmen Sandiego or something. She's like on a cruise ship in the Arctic. And then she's in like Tahiti. And then she's in the like French Polynesian Islands. I'm sorry if Tahiti is part of, they're not, no, that's not part of the, anyways, I should know that. And it's just like they have it in the four corners of the globe. You know, we've got like Nebraska, Georgia, Spain. It's just pretty crazy. And like, I think they know that they are inducing another mass psychosis event. Just people being like freaked out. They might want to try to stimulate the economy. They know people are going to go panic by possibly. And my point of making the title, Why We Shouldn't Worry, is that we encounter countless pathogens every single day. And unless you're immunocompromised, which I really am sorry about, and my heart goes out to you, you have such an amazing immune system. Your body is like a walking miracle. Everything functioning the way that all the processes that are happening in your body constantly going on and just keeping you alive is really amazing. And we need to walk around with that kind of mindset instead of letting them steal our joy and be like, oh no, there's a new virus. You know, it's always been there, but now we've got to be freaked out. But it's not going to be a pandemic. But let's report about every person that shows a little bit of symptoms, you know. And I thought that it was really interesting. Kerry Mullis said about the PCR test, which is what they're using to test it. Now, I did see that there was antibodies tests as well as PCR. So He said if you do it well enough, it's like the Buddhist notion that everything is contained in everything else. There's very few molecules you don't have at least one of in your body. And it's very interesting. If you didn't know who that is, Carrie Mullis, you really should look it up if you're interested in any of this stuff at all. And of course, he's no longer with us, of course, right? But you just have to know that you have so many, like, if you're going to worry about every single virus that you might get bad enough to show symptoms of, that would just ruin your day all day, every day. And that's one thing that I think they've programmed certain people. And that's what I want to talk about next. Hi, Edge. How are you doing? Charlie Kirk is dead. Erica killed him. Just ask Candace, Jason. Prepare a food shortage is coming. Farmers can't get fertilizer because most of it comes from Iran. Yes, Jack and Janie, thank you for saying that. And I did just say that a few minutes ago. Yes, I totally agree. It's hitting them from so many angles. It's the fertilizer, it's the cost of the diesel fuel, and it's also like a lot of them are going to be irrigating more because of the drought, and that costs money. Like, people don't realize we spend a lot more money watering our little garden. I can't imagine what I'm sure they are like subsidized somehow or something. Yeah, I noticed, and who knows, they might mutate it. Yes, Fendi, when they're like, well, it's human to human, but it has to be very intimate. It's not like easy human to human like coronavirus. When it's a 40% death rate, like, that's horrible. I think they meant to push people into high anxiety levels. I agree, Crafty. I like your name, Crafty Karen. I would love to visit California if we had the money free. I would love to take my kids there because I've always told them it was a special place. Carlsbad, California. We used to go to the beach there a lot. There's like what is it called when monks live there? Is it a monastery? What the fuck did you just say? I damn near had a stroke. Oh no, I don't know. Oh, Giuseppe, thank you. That's nice. Hi, JR. How are you doing in Arkansas? Hi, Aaron. Mass formation is a social psychosis like the Nazis lived. Yes, Crafty, yes. And it's just so interesting to me. And I'm a centrist, registered independent. Everybody's welcome here. I'm not trying to be divisive when it comes to like the left, the right, but they've definitely made this. The only thing I fear is parasites. I'm waiting patiently for the OTC ivermectin. Oh, that's cool. Spotted. I definitely think that's one thing that they keep us in the dark about, that if they were, it's like parasites, yeast or candida, and food sensitivities, intolerances. I think that those are like the three main. Of course, there's like other stuff, but like the inflammation that those things cause, like the chronic inflammation, is also something that people should like try to do something about. People were atomized and more individualist, but freaking out in a crashed economy, and they all had high anxiety and promote an ideology, and people see it as a direct answer to anxieties. Yes, Crafty. Gloom, how are you doing? Oil refineries up in smoke. Oh no. Oh no, there's one right now. My cat's outside, Pippo. Hi, Pyramid. How are you doing tonight? You think there is a hantavirus? Yeah, I think there is, but I don't think it's anything to worry about. I think that they're trying to propagandize this strain, and it could actually be something. I wouldn't doubt it if they're like, oh, this isn't that easy. And then a few weeks from now, remember when COVID started, it was the end of December that it started. People were talking about how it was happening in China. It wasn't until the first week of March, and I'll never forget it because I was door dashing and I was making such good money. This is probably like the last golden era of DoorDash. And it was like, I was only doing it for 2 weeks. I was seriously making like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And which, that's a lot for like a stay-at-home mom that didn't have a job. And anyways, I was there in a Mexican restaurant when they announced that like everything was shutting down, and I'll never forget that feeling. That was a horrible fucking feeling. Hi, punk rock fan. How are you? I work in dirty, moldy houses all the time. I barely ever get sick. I get sick when I'm around kids more than I ever got sick any other way. Eric, yeah. Well, I hope you use, I hope you use a mask sometimes, because even if you think it doesn't affect you, it just worry about you long term. But I know what you mean. Kids are germ vectors, and I always felt so bad for anybody we knew that had their kid in a preschool. It's just like their kids were like sick. Like it was like every other time you turned around, their kids were sick from being around like other sick kids. You have cat features. That's funny, Smoke Indica. My best friend in middle school and high school, she used to say that I had cat eyes. Just because John read the receipt wrong. What, Big? I don't know what you're talking about, Pig. The yeast is the wife of fungus, Ruben said. I never thought about it is a fungus, right? Isn't it technically? Hold on. Doctors say that caffeine or for 24/7 could be fatal. Fools, they don't know how delicious it is. DL said. So much deep stuff, Flynn said. Robert said, hi. Hi, Robert. How are you? They can go to hell. Um, DL Flynn said, coffee is going to fry your brain when you do it a lot. RV, 5 cups of black coffee can cause cancer or high BP. Oh, yeah, I think that would be too much for most people. Then you cannot do anything without coffee, Flynn said. Thinner virus, Grim said. Are you talking about that Stephen King movie? That's what I just thought about when you said that. Coffee is just good in average amounts. Flynn said, yeah, there is some like good B vitamins and stuff, but just like everything, some people are sensitive to it, right? Notice how no one talks about Fauci, MK Ultra. Yes, Glam, good point. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. Absolutely not. He should be being indicted. Spotted 1 cup coffee for me and nicotine pouches. Yes, I've been wanting to try some nicotine since some of the things that I saw, but like I just haven't wanted to spend the money on it. Hantavirus, why does that sound like an elephant? Flynn said. Um, DL. I was like you too, but trust me, I don't want to do that. Flynn said. Is COVID still around? Frad said. Well, yeah. And that's what like the reoccurring theme of this conversation is. There are so many viruses, pathogens, bad things we encounter, and our bodies are amazing and resilient. And like that's what we need to walk around thinking about. And Carrie Mullis said in one of these video clips of him, there's over 10,000 viruses that are unnamed. I don't know how they came up with 10,000, but it makes sense. They haven't named every single virus. Have you guys ever thought about like there has to be people who like got cancer, never knew they had cancer, spontaneously went into spontaneous remission without knowing because they didn't have medical intervention. I'm not giving any medical advice or saying that's what people should do. Honestly, if I had cancer, I would probably do what the doctors told me to do, depending on the kind of cancer. Like there's like certain kinds of like Hodgkin lymphoma where it's like they've pretty much gotten the treatment down better. But anyways, that's like a really horrible conversation. It's just something that I think about a lot, or at anything, different things. I feel like maybe at a certain point I could have gotten diagnosed with something much more severe, like autoimmune wise. And like, I'm not saying that it's bad to get the labels, but in a way, like not having that label and me like not having any help by any doctors hardly was what made me just like start from the bottom up. And I wish I had a few dollars for you to borrow. Do plants really heal you? Yes, Frad. Everything, I thoroughly believe most everything we need comes from the earth. They have I'm into naturopathy too, or homeopathy, I mean, and naturopathy. But I totally believe in allopathic medicine. I think they should work side by side. When it comes to my children, I don't mess with anything when it comes to my children. I'm not saying that I try not to give them antibiotics, but my middle son only had antibiotics for pink eye and a dog bite. Like literally, that's for his whole life. And because like when you treat things with minerals, vitamins, and I'm not saying I would never give them pain relief, like ibuprofen. We do ibuprofen because Tylenol is a glutathione depleter. Hi, Lone Wolf. Look at the state of yourself, sweetie, leading good men astray from their wives and families into the pit. You should be ashamed of yourself. Please thank God and repent for your sinning. Debbie, that's funny. Debbie, why so rude? Who hurt you? Oh, yeah. I mean, that has to be... of all the women to say that on YouTube, you should go try to find somebody else on a live. I don't know, maybe like, even if she was showing her boobs, who cares? I don't care. I'm just saying, like, all women to say that to, when we're talking about viruses, the devil spoke to this lady and tempted her into disfiguring herself, and now she looks dreadful. She's damned for the pit, and there's no saving her. I'm going to take that as you're trying to say that, like, I got work done, which I'll take as a compliment. But yeah, anyways, natural selection, Diesel said. Dr. Sebe, my doctor. I forgot about that person. Real. Yeah, I think most everything and anything that's really useful, that isn't literally from the ground, most of it was synthesized from the properties of a plant. Like aspirin comes from white willow bark, and I know we can't harvest all the white willow bark that they would need to put on shelves for everybody in the world, but white willow bark doesn't have the risk of Rye syndrome. It's a horrible thing that happens to people sometimes, the reaction to many different medicines. And like, Uh, it's just easier on you altogether. And so, yeah, most things that man made, he saw in nature, and it's like a synthesized form of it. And I'm sure there are exceptions, like completely man. Anyways, and then, there's that saying, every drug ever recalled by the FDA was once approved by the FDA. And I'm not saying anything, I'm not giving any medical advice, but it is like, once you've been through some shit, it kind of gives you more of a backbone that, so this is one thing I wanted to talk about, was like the left versus right. This is why I said everybody's welcome here. I'm a centrist. I did lean towards the right there for a few years, but like still, like I look at them as this exact same anymore. They years ago, it started with the March for Science. Do you guys remember what I'm talking about? I want to say it was like 2017. And I was homeschooling my two older kids then. I homeschool my youngest one now, but we're not involved in as many activities, honestly. And I just remember there was so much, it was like divided in the homeschool mom community. The left-leaning moms were going to the March for Science in Indianapolis, and the Christian co-op moms, which I was a part of, were like not going to the March for Science. And it had so much to do with vaccines. They've been doing the divide and conquer. Vaccines is a huge subject. They do divide and conquer. It's one of these things that people, they find out how you feel about it. Some people, not all people, because I'm not like this. I know that not everybody does it, but they brainwashed people into being like, okay, you are a good person. You are one of the tribe if you got the COVID vaccine. Oh, thank you for that star. That was really cute, BT. I think it said BT. Plants come from air. People believe they come from soil, Flynn said. SG, the earth absolutely has everything we need. Humans have made it hard for many to obtain. Yes. HC, nature heals. That's why they do so much to get us away from nature and natural organic stuff. That's why everything's processed. I agree. Yes, Frad, I know I have some asymmetry in my eyes. I'm surprised this was the first troll to bring it up tonight. Because usually there's so many, like, okay, what was it last night? What was it? I was telling my husband about it. Oh, some guy was like, why aren't you wearing a wedding ring? I've been gardening all day, every day. That's why I don't have jewelry on my hands. And can't you tell my hands look so bad? Oh my God, because I've been like washing them so much and they're like dirty and my nails are really jagged. Anyways, and this was brought up earlier in the chat, where basically like women aren't being as good as they used to be anymore. And I'm like, nobody is. Everybody's de-evolving. Includes men, and so many men that are just like, I don't think 20, 30 years ago, but granted, maybe if people were given the ability to socialize through screens like they are, maybe there probably would have been some dickheads, let's be real, but I don't think there would have been as many. I don't think there would have been as many people going around trying to be like, oh, and it's funny to me because it's like, there's the sweet people that say, nice things about my green eyes. And then there's people that have to find something to dig on. And it's like, this is why, one of the reasons why people are just not doing well altogether. When you don't have good mental health and there's people walking around like that, like just being mean to people, it's like, I look at it as an opportunity to make somebody's day better. And I love like helping to make somebody feel better about themselves and complimenting. I couldn't imagine being the opposite. And I can only imagine that brings with it a lot of bullshit. The earth absolutely has everything. Oh, I already read that. And I read HC's. God bless you. All Caden said, oh, that's nice. I believe in God, says. You don't have to, but Well, I am agnostic and there is an evidence that God exists. You will know when you read a lot about the universe, Big Bang and stuff. No, I am married. AI. Says there's never been any evidence of any God or any afterlife, so you're right. Well, Michelle, I think that NDEs are pretty good evidence. And when people, this is the most convincing evidence for me. You could say, oh, it's just your brain and chemicals going through your brain. But how do you explain when people are like in the room with their bodies? And I've seen several stories and I believe them. I know they could be lying, but they're like, I told the doctors what they said and they were like, what? You heard that? And that to me, I'm like, I don't think it's just their brains. There's the entire portion of the periodic table of elements that are completely man-made, synthesized, that have never been found in nature. Right, Big Chevy. I was like, so when it comes to medicine in particular, I know that's probably, I just think, it just seems like to me, You know what I mean? It's, they're always using like stuff from animals and viruses. Everyone needs to buy a dog. Dogs can detect terminators, Gleam said. I wish I was on, no, I don't wish I was on Xanax. I didn't mean that. Thrill said I was on Xanax. Yeah, both sides are the same, Fendi said. Only if you're a sheep that does what he's told, HC said. So I'm sorry. I'm going to keep talking about the left right thing. So where does this attention seeker post her full frontals? Here, like seriously, it's like the downfall of Rome happening before our eyes on YouTube lives. Hi Daniel, how are you? Hi Alpha, how are you? Some of my coworkers wore silicone rings because we worked with machinery and electricity. Yeah, I do have those. I have some of those. Something else is sorry for my husband. Who said God doesn't exist? Turbo said. Well, a few people, or one person in the chat. Can I guess where you are, Kentucky? Daniel said. You can guess, but I'm not going to say it if you get it right. Dreams are fun, Michelle. Hello, ma'am. Just passing through. Do you believe in Jesus? Yes, I do. Fun. I don't consider myself Christian. I'm not like religious, but I do believe in Jesus and his teachings. Again, no evidence that they were outside their bodies, Michelle said. If you believe what they say and they heard things, you know, and saw things, I know I've seen people like they said that they wouldn't have known, wouldn't been able to see what happened if they weren't in a certain perspective and like outside of their body, and just be literally impossible any other way. And this is like they're flatlining. So I don't know. I think from everything I've experienced, I had my grandma visit me, and I don't believe it was a demon. That's one reason I can't call myself a Christian, because I just don't subscribe to everything as much as I think a Christian should. No, I haven't been crying, Jim. My contacts are super dry, and I like took them out and put them back in the solution because I've been in and out all day, which it's been such beautiful weather. Fun Ghoul said, amen. Anybody want to come upstairs and toss some football? Turbo said. B. Kirkman, I believe that like ghosts might be possible, like a residual energy type thing. You know, I think like we're all made of energy, and it can be like actual energy being the ghost, or it can be like residual energy from an event. So, well, Michelle, I mean, I'd rather think and be open-minded than think that I'm like God. Like you could just as easily say you don't have evidence that there is no God. You know what I mean? I think that sacred geometry and the way that tree branches grow the same is the bronchioles in our tubes, and our lungs grow and things like that. It's like this was a grand design, and like I said, the way that animals are here, like for us humans, not just for us, but you know what I mean, the special relationship we can have with animals. And it's clear that like we are different than them, right? And I'm not saying they don't have a soul, but I think that like clearly we're different. So I just think it's super interesting that like there's this left versus right, vaccine, anti-vaccine, and like it really bothers me as somebody who is vaccine injured. If you didn't know, I got injured by the 2009 H1N1 flu shot in 2010, the beginning of 2010. The pediatrician was just trying to get rid of her stock, obviously. Told me I was going to kill my baby if I got the flu that year because I had a newborn baby. Ended up so sick for weeks. So I know what it's like to like believe in this preventative medicine and want to give it a chance, and then to be completely let down and be in the ER that night and be told that it's everything, it could be anything but that, and that would be 1 in a million. And to medical professionals, apparently 1 in a million equals 0, never ever happens. Like I don't think it's 1 in a million, because when somebody comes in the ER that night, you tell them it's not that, you know, or it could it be possible when you are doing what you're doing with the immune system. So many things are possible, so many things. Neurology is so complex, and like, yeah, a lot of neurological things can happen. And the attitude of if you didn't like die on the table or have a seizure right there on the table, even if you do, I've known people whose kids had seizures on the table, and they're like, okay, so like they don't have to get that particular one, but they have to get all the rest of them. It's like, I'm sorry, that is, and I'm not giving any medical advice, but It's interesting to me how we don't test blood titers. That is testing for antibodies. If they're so darn important, why at no point in time do they recommend getting that done unless you yourself are becoming a nurse or a doctor, basically? I think that's the only, maybe there's some other professions. So why aren't we testing our kids' antibodies to make sure our kids, all their vaccines are working? Have you ever thought about that? Why not? Maybe because we'd see how many are non-responders and it'd blow all that herd immunity, artificially induced herd immunity bullshit out of the water, because that's not how it works. There's no such thing as artificially induced herd immunity, in my opinion. And I'm not a medical expert, I'm not giving any advice, but it's like you have to have natural lifelong immunity for that herd immunity thing to be a thing. They tried to mimic it. As far as I could be wrong, but the last time I researched it, the only vaccine to be proven to last a lifetime was polio. They don't all last a lifetime. We're not all getting boosters. Hardly anybody in the general population is getting their blood titers tested to see if they even have the antibodies. And in my opinion, that's because they know that a lot of times they're not going to be there. They're not. Um, Hi, Thunder. How are you? Again, there's no evidence of any God, and there's been claims of many gods. Okay, Michelle. We are all animals, first of all, Lewis said. Yeah, but we're the only animals that have the kind of civilizations we do. And I'm not saying that we're so much incredibly smarter. I think there's like something to be said about animals that aren't ruining the planet, you know. But we're the only ones that have like religion and churches and all that crap. Greetings, human. We are curious about, oh my God, so close. And all different from one another, Lewis said. B. Kirk, do you want to see what everyone that thinks it is, that sees it thinks is a ghost? I caught it on a security camera in my garage. Yeah, where at, B. Kirkman? Okay. Are you against shots? I'm not giving any medical advice. Like I said, I got injured by an H1N1 vaccine in 2010, and I do believe that they work. I know that they work. I've seen chickenpox work to quell outbreaks in my lifetime. I just don't think they're one size fits all. Like they're pushed on us. And you really, like, seriously, like, think about it. Isn't that a great point? That's just something I've thought about a lot over the years. I think it's a great point. Why don't we ever test kids' antibodies? If all these vaccines they're getting are so important, at one point in time, can we just like one time draw a little bit of blood? I don't know if that could be done with the, I wonder if it could be done with a finger prick. Probably not. No, I'm not. And I'm not giving any medical advice. But like I said, I know what it's like to be in the ER that night and have doctors be like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, it's possible, but since it's 1 in a million, that's not what's happening to you. And of course, I did have doctors later on say, yeah, you definitely were like injured by that. I met a woman in Ohio. She's from Ohio. I met her in Florence, Kentucky, who sued. She had the same shot that I had. It was an extra bad one. There was a lot more injuries from that one because it was rushed to market. So I learned about mock trial vaccines is what that is called, when they don't have time to do the clinical trials before they put it on market. So basically you're the clinical trial. So when everything happened in 2020, I hate it, but I knew what was going on, and I was like, I felt so bad for people that felt like still trustworthy, or they trusted the medical authorities enough to go ahead and get those shots. I'm against because I always used to get sick twice a year whenever I had the flu shot. I haven't been sick since I stopped taking it. Oh, good, HC. Good for you. If you're thinking from pure theologian logic perspective, believing in something is a better guess than believing in nothing, Turbo Chris said. And I was against the COVID one because when Trump was pushing for it first, Biden was like, no, no, no. But when he got in office, he was like, you need to take it. Yes, HC. I was super disappointed when Trump became a pharma salesman. And I should have known then, like 100%, that he was no different. He was not going to be the one. He was different than all the career politicians. Hi, Moonshiner. No, I don't. How are you doing, Moonshiner? We have a higher conscious soul. I think that people, that's the best thing that's happening right now. But I say that knowing there's like people, more and more people living in their cars. So it's like, I don't, but that's kind of, I hate to say that's what has to happen. But you know, like people have to get uncomfortable before they wake up. And that was like my moment when I realized that our country is run, this was 2010, right? Run by pharma and oil, because we barely were like into social media at the time. Now it's tech, pharma, and oil. And it literally, the citizens don't matter. People don't matter. I went and I called him JFK, RFK Jr. speak in Chicago in 2012. A lot of us vaccine injured people. And notice, I'm not giving any medical advice. I can't stress that enough. I never say anything about my children, so you can't say anything. I'm not giving any medical advice. I talk about me and my experience, but just believe I could say more, but I don't. So we went and saw him and Dan Burton, RFK, and he said, like, we get it. We believe you guys. We know this is going on. We do. And you need to go to pharma and share your stories with them and be nice. Like your tone of voice matters. You catch more flies. They literally said you catch more flies with honey. They said that. And I was like, that's one of the main reasons I drove up to Chicago. It was like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 hours away. And I went and picked up somebody from like Dayton, Ohio, and then drove to Chicago, and I had never met her in real life. And it was just me and her in the hotel room the first night. And like, I wanted to smoke so bad. And then like out of nowhere, she's like, you know what? I smoke weed every day. And I was like, I do too. And we like jumped out of bed and we were like, and like, let's go to the parking garage. And that was just one of those moments. Like, there's millions and millions of functioning adults. I don't smoke every day anymore. If I did, I probably wouldn't talk about it on YouTube because that's how paranoid I am. But back then, it was so funny. We are an alien species put here for observation. And if God is real, who's God's father? Hail. I don't think God, it works like that. I don't think God has a family tree like us. Thank you for the high five, Desmond. I think that like God is something that our human brains can't quite comprehend. And I do think that RH negative, I'm RH negative, and it's just, there's something weird about that, okay? There's something really weird. There's no other animal on the planet where like if they have a baby with somebody of a different blood type, it could make their next baby, all this stuff go wrong. That's weird. That's weird. And it doesn't make sense that it's like recessive in 15% of the population, and it's like remained like at like 15% of the population when they theorize like by now it should have been less at least. So anyways, oh my gosh, Silvar, this behavior clarifies many things about your species. Also on my planet, this would be considered low intelligence. Turbo Chris, people are prescribed meds, chemical imbalance, but there's no test given to detect what chemicals are in there and what are imbalanced to begin with. I know, Turbo Chris, and I don't want to make anybody feel bad. Like, once again, I'm not giving medical advice, but I know what you mean. And people, I just feel so bad for people who are just like, it's always trying a different one or adding a different one. And it's like the mode of mechanism for a lot of these drugs are unknown, meaning they don't even know how. They might know it does do this to this, but they don't know how. And you guys, I have videos of this on my channel. There's some of my oldest videos. Chris Watts, the man who annihilated his whole family, killed his 2 precious little children, as well as his pregnant wife, Shanann Watts. He was using those Thrive patches where when I did research into like the active ingredient and the way that it gets into your bloodstream from the patch, like that was patented. This ingredient going straight into your bloodstream like that, forskolin, it literally works like an MAOI in the brain, meaning it literally does something in your brain. And they've already proven with science how like it makes men burn fat more so than women. So it makes sense why he was like getting all buff and stuff. And then she was like, why isn't it working the same for me? Because like they know the way it works in the brain. It's crazy. And I'm not trying to make any excuses for him. I'm just like, you never know. I think he was a fucking demon that had it in him, but that was like possibly a trigger. And when you look into, I mean, it messes with your brain. People are, I already read that. But who said that the Republicans, because when Trump got the pandemic, he flew into the hospital and got a shot, and then he went and talked bad about it. So I wouldn't listen to Donald Trump. Yeah, I understand, Robin. I hate injections, as Mail said. Measles needs to go wild, Michelle. Stop. Another thing, when they opened the freaking border the way that they did, I didn't say this on YouTube, but I wish I would have made a video like, hey, we vaccinate for certain strains of certain diseases, and that one big way there's any outbreak of anything that's not like usually in our country, or like it's because of traveling and people bringing it from abroad, somebody coming from abroad, and that's like a well-known thing. And the CDC tries to like act like No, outbreaks aren't like they have this page. I remember I looked it up and they're like, no, it's not necessarily. But if you know any, yes, it's always coming from somewhere else. It's not spontaneously coming out of the air. I mean, and then you've got all these scientists playing God. Like, just think about the God complex you'd have to be stealing viruses from labs after going through COVID. And like, those weren't even the good vaccines. I bet they kept the COVID cure for themselves. Moonshiner, I agree with you. It doesn't make logical sense to take the vaccine if you already got COVID. Mercury, yes. These, I agree. These, and I'm not giving any advice, but these days Trump is busy with aliens. We must focus on that, Rum. You should check it out and let me know what you think, B. Kirkman said. I put it on my channel a couple of months ago. We have to say channel because there's only a couple of things on it. If you remember, I'd appreciate you leave me a comment on this video, like not in the chat, like the comment section. If you could do that, I would definitely check it out, but I might not be able to find you just by looking up B. Kirkman, unless you're a channel that you know I'm subscribed to you already. I trust my body, no injections for me, Ismail said. Yes, I think that it's something a lot of us have to learn our lessons the hard way. And it's like a thing in Appalachia, and I think kind of in the South, like just rural folk avoid going to the doctor. It's unfortunate when they don't take their animals to the vet. I don't agree with that. But like there's like this mentality. Oh, raising wildflowers. She made this great video that was like, why do people vote against their best interests? And it was taught like said some stuff I didn't know. There's like 13% of people that could get benefits in Appalachia. I need to research that, but people think that everybody's just sitting around on government benefits here when it's not true. There's like a lot of pride. People would rather like suffer and go without than to get on government benefits. And so many people have had the rug pulled out from under them between government benefits or like the coal industry. And people don't, and she made so many good points. People don't realize like, yeah, they're going to vote for Republicans because of the coal towns. Like Republicans are all about coal. Democrats aren't. They don't seem to understand that's like the literal only good job in several counties in a few states. When I say good, I mean like, I want to say they make like $28 an hour last time I saw or something. I'm talking about the hantavirus. I put it on my channel. Oh, God, I'm so bad about that. I don't like Trump anymore, Mom, you 30s. Smile, you're beautiful, a true goddess. Oh, Corey. It doesn't make logical sense to take, I already read that. Yeah, I went back up. I like the off-grid people now, Ismail said. I lived off-grid for 11 and a half months, Ismail. I saw Fauci is getting arrested for the COVID bullshit. I wish, Hale, where did you see that? Ismail wants a farm, me too. Mercury mess. If you think it's just pharma, then damn. What do you mean by that? But yeah, it's like, I think they know that people are really genuinely fed up. And I've said this, I know I repeat myself a lot, but I also know there's probably like varying people. Amazon has been hiring for a few months now. They hired for like 6 weeks and then they hired $3 more an hour. Like they're desperately trying to get people to stay there because the turnover is so high. I've worked there 4 times. I'm usually one of the last people left. And like, I mean, last time I only lasted like 2 weeks. Still, like there was still like 75% of orientation. Like people hadn't, it could be such a better job if they didn't like purposely run you around extra, you know? But anyways, thought that they know there's going to be a lockdown possibly. They know that for some reason people will be shopping online. It makes no sense. I haven't seen it in the 4 years we've lived here besides October, November, right? Because obviously Christmas season, what they call peak season. Like there is Prime Day in June, I believe. No, they don't hire for months leading up. They're hiring now longer than like, I don't know how many they're hiring though, but like it's taking them longer to like get all the people on board than they do for the holiday season. I think there's something going on. Jeff Bezos went to that stupid Met Gala knowing it was like one of their last hurrahs. Not that they're going to be able to just do whatever the fuck they want because they'll know it's all a farce. That's their god. Gold, oil, and drugs. Yes, Fendi. H1N1 rum. That's what I was talking about that injured me. And corn. You'd be surprised corn plays a big role in the economy. Yes, I lived in Indiana for years. Oh my goodness. I am so I am so sorry. I'm not going to be able to read all these. Lydia, good evening. Hey, Keith, how are you doing? Why do nurses and doctors make a lot of money? Well, since healthcare is subsidized by government, they can pay healthcare and pharma companies a lot of money. I don't think nurses make enough money, Mercury. I think there's too many people at the upper management level making too much money in hospitals. I know some nurses make really good money, but we are all on our own individual journey in our own reality tunnel. Everyone's aperture of belief is unique to that person and it's extremely delicate and fragile. I like how you put that, Turbo Chris. I agree with you. We actually have a parasitic society. We prey on everyone, Mercury. Well, I agree that the owning class does. The owning class are the parasites, meaning the people that don't have to work for a living. So, like, even if you make really good money, if you have to work and if you didn't have a job, you wouldn't be able to live. You know, like, I'm not, even if you make really good money, you're not who I'm talking about. Chris Watts abusing TRT, idiot. I think, yeah, probably. I wouldn't doubt it. That's a steroid, right? Sympathetic other parasites, Keith said. Master builders, master destroyers, Soul said. Yes, we don't have a third world immune system in America, Nicholas said. Yeah, most people don't, but you'd be, so like the way that people, so maybe they know people will be more affected because of upcoming like food scarcity, food shortages. They changed, I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. They changed like the formulas of foods. They would put in ingredients that like weren't on the label. The food labeling laws during the pandemic were freaking horrible. And it was like people with food allergies getting stuff with like allergens in them when they didn't know it was in there because they're just allowed to switch it up on us. And, you know, the quality was like worse with a lot of stuff. And I just think about that and I'm like, what are they going to use as an excuse if there was another one of these global outbreaks? And then I think Trump is realizing, in my opinion, Trump has to have known by now. He has to know that he's like fucked up when it comes to Iran. He thought it was going to be in and out. And he's like, whatever to distract people. And it's still, the Epstein files is still something that I follow a few people that talk a lot about that. There's still people going through the files and finding, you know, more and more shit. No, it's not a board there playing with our blood. Why would anyone create a virus? Electric said. I don't think they should be allowed to, but even, you know, if it was like illegal, just like cloning humans, you know, that they still do it even when nobody vaccinates anymore. We are spreading viruses amongst ourselves, USA Mike said. That's what I was trying to say. Like, so people think that if there is less people vaccinating, but why don't we get our blood teeters? I'm not going to believe that like we should all get the same 12, 24 vaccines in childhood and then just never walk around knowing our actual immunity. And at one point, at what point, and like with the chickenpox vaccine, it's like they don't recommend a booster for like adults, but from what I read, maybe they should, because like in that, I'm no expert. Once again, I'm not giving medical advice, but that might be a reason why like there's some funny things going on with the shingles lately. Well, I've heard in theory it could be because there's no natural boosters in the environment. Because when the chickenpox virus was wild, then people would get natural boosters, you know, and now that they're not getting that, even though the chickenpox vaccine is live and technically sheds, I'm pretty sure, it's still not the same. It's not giving the older population their boosters, you know? So, like, me as somebody that had the chickenpox as a kid, it like running across it in the wild here and there is good for me throughout my life and is theoretically might not get shingles. Anyways, that's just something that I heard. I'm not giving any advice. I don't know anything for sure. I'm just a dumbass mom. This is just from my experience, but the woman that raised me was born in 1911 and I never ever saw her get sick ever. Oh, that's so cool, Turbo. Law enforcement enforce law so you can't compete in free market. Nurses and doctors make money off you being sick, like everyone wants something from you. Mercury, I know. Oh, hey, Alvin, it's been a minute. How are you? I know. Hospitals are just, I don't want to be disrespectful to the good medical professionals, but it is a freaking mess. It's crazy the things that people get charged, the things that people don't get help for. I saw this story where a teenage boy passed away because they sewed, he was in an accident and there was like rocks and moss and sticks in his wound and they sewed it up, a horrible infection he died from. A situation where this woman who was like 70 went in, she had a bowel perforation and a UTI, and I guess she was like hallucinating. Well, they should know that this can be caused by a UTI, especially as somebody at her age. And she ended up dying in a psych ward because they like didn't do anything medically for her. They put her in the psych ward. It's just, and I know a lot of this comes from people. They're like overstaffed and everything. She ate Great Depression diet too, Turbo Chris said. Who even researches bioweapons and doesn't make a cure for themselves? X-Files, thank you, Moonshiner. You're so funny, Moonshiner. I study bioalchemy and verbal medicine skills. Okay, I'll definitely leave a comment and I'll be curious to hear your opinion. I'd love to give it, B. Kirkman. I have a video that's privated that is like a orb in the sky, and I know what planes look like. This was a fucking orb, you know, in my old backyard. They know how to live cheap in rural Kentucky, Alvin said. They all hate you. It's whatever, Mercury said. Love you, Pookie. AI detector said. Vets make a lot of money. Veterinarians, Mercury? Is that what you're saying? You're not winning an election. When I talk about politics, so be quiet, Hussey said. Well, that's an interesting way to look at it. And when was I talking about politics recently? I guess I mentioned it a little bit. By the way, it's only like 20 seconds long, so unfortunately it's not a long watch. Oh, that's cool, B. Kirkman. Hussey loves Obama. That's cool. Coal miners only make like $28 an hour, Hail Slayer said. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. And keep in mind, this is in areas where you'd be hard pressed to find a job over $11, $12 an hour. You know, like I know that in a lot of cities that's not that much, but it is where these coal mines are at. And these people that went for making a good living then went to like she said in her video, did they go to like working at Walmart for $14 an hour? And it's, part of the downfall, and people don't realize how like the rug was pulled out from people in Appalachia when it comes to coal. The way I see it, they owe us benefits, especially with how much they tax us and how much they subsidize farms. Yes, Edge of South. I know whenever, like to think of any farmers being against like student loans being paid off, at least for some people, maybe not 100% of them, but still. And I know they were for some, but I mean more. What's the point in taxes if they just print more money? I know, Mercury. It's just a way to keep us in survival mode. In my opinion, I've had the same thoughts. It's just, I can't get over the billionaire guys that said tax the rich is like a racial slur. And they really do look at us as like the shit on their shoe. Like seriously, they don't look at us as human beings. I really didn't have that many notes written down. Okay. Yeah, I didn't have anything that I didn't say. Yeah, they can't make us lock down if we all decide not to, right, Ismail? Because it's a system, the wage slavery system. Yes, Alvin, that's a very good way to say it. There is God, is Moloch, Saul said. Birth, school, work, death, and taxes is the USA way, and debt is control. Yes. Oh, thank you, 999. I know that my face isn't perfect, but you guys are so sweet. You make up for all the trolls. What's going on here? Explain yourself, Circle said. So funny. So my point with my title and everything was we encounter countless pathogens every day. The inventor of the PCR test, Carrie Mullis, if you don't know anything about that, I highly recommend looking into it. Lots of good YouTube videos. He put it perfectly, and he said there's like a Buddhist principle that everything is contained within itself. And if you look hard enough in anybody, you could find a single molecule of like almost anything you're looking for, basically. So we're not taught this. And like, not only that, but like even a lot of medical professionals, that's what I was trying to say earlier, like the medical, and it's like rightfully so, it's so compartmentalized, you know? And so it's like, here's somebody like him that knows a lot more about viruses say these things, and it's like, it is interesting to think, somebody brought up parasites earlier. It is a little creepy too to think about like how much bacteria, good, bad, how many parasites, how many other organs. One thing I heard, or things are in other organs, other places of our body that aren't like human cells. Something I heard that really struck me was like, this isn't going to be, the hantavirus isn't going to be as easy to transmit because COVID, it was like an aerosol thing because the virus lived in the lungs. This hantavirus lives in the blood. So that's one reason it's like so much harder for transmission. And for some reason, that just really struck me, and I wanted to add that to you. I didn't have it in my notes. But this administration says we don't need rules and regulations. It's cumbersome for corporations. Yeah, Elle, it's nice to be a rich businessman. That's what this country was always really set up for, really. But at least for a while there was a genuine trickle down. But there's like none anymore. Pay attention, next pandemic incoming, real or not. I agree, no Ty. That's why I'm bringing it up. I just have a feeling, and no, I don't, Hale. I would like to grow, but I need to get a medical marijuana. I have these like gas station vapes. I know those are kind of crappy, and vaping isn't good. But that's all I do now. Why wouldn't 46 release the files though? Because he doesn't want his friends to get hurt. That's why. Because there's a lot of good guys. It's just so sick to really, really come to terms with like how sick this world is. And when rich men are together at their parties and stuff, they literally like they're all like, I don't mean it like they're having an orgy, but they're all like passing around their young girlfriends. You see pictures of like Virginia Giuffre at Naomi Campbell's birthday party and shit. It's like, why was every adult in the room okay with this? They knew what was going on. Virginia Giuffre said that she liked his chef the best because he would treat her like a person, and she could be standing there naked talking to him in the kitchen, and he wouldn't like make her feel weird about it. And because they were naked in the house, like just tra la la la, I guess, and that makes sense. And so that guy's been on Joe Rogan. And of course, Joe Rogan didn't say anything to him. Like, it's a well known fact. Everybody knows he was Epstein's chef, you know? And I just think of stuff like that. And I'm like, I think that's evil. And when I say things like demonic, like, I think that's demonic. That's evil. That is the bad side of whatever duality is a good and bad energy in the universe. And the most evil people, they don't even look at evil as evil. They just, this is very like Kabbalah. It's not bad. It's just energy that is to be utilized. And they are going to figure out how to use it. They don't get the creeps from the same stuff that gives a not demon person. I know that sounded stupid, but you know what I mean? Like, that's how I feel about it. That, so apparently PDF Trump sent a submarine to the Middle East. Oh no, Fendi, I didn't hear that. My kid was born in 2002, never got chicken pox, Hail Slayer said. And did they get the vaccine? Because he probably was, if you got vaccines, they probably got, yeah, they had it then. Hi, GC, how are you doing? I see you're still on the same subject. That's good. Yeah, we've been floating around a little bit. Wasn't brought up where chicken pox causes shingles. It's the same virus of families. And so if you are exposed to it, it is said herpes zoster, right? There's something about the relation of the natural boosters not being in the environment. Just as the original smallpox or something pox was made with another kind of pox. You know what I mean? Like it was in the same family of poxes, but they weren't the literal same. Wasn't brought, I already read them. Hi, Cameron, how are you? Hi, how's your night? I'm doing good, Natalie. How are you? Do you listen to Hank 3? No, I don't, Hale. Is that a YouTuber? But if you're vaccinated, doesn't that mean you're protected? Yeah, Turbo Chris. But then they're saying, like, with this new one, the way they try to, like, spin it to people, like, they, you know, they try to make it seem like, oh, it's like, it makes you not as sick, but it doesn't prevent transmission as much. It's just crazy. They're coming to take Lydia away, Juicy said. Ismail, I know a little about some stuff, but thanks. Seems like I'm looking the Caribbean Ocean in a sunshine more. I don't know where you're looking. Mine isn't in orbits like something walking by in between the front of my car and the garage door. I'm excited for your thoughts and reaction. Oh, B. Kirkman, I hope it's not a jump scare. Seems like I'm looking, oh, I already read that. You said it twice. So how do you fix what, Evelyn? I'm sorry, I don't know exactly what you mean by how do you fix it. It's hard for me to find intelligent people these days, Ismail. I think that YouTube is so great. Not that I want to only listen to people that think exactly like me, but it is like if you didn't have social media, or at least for me, this is how I feel. I couldn't imagine only having the media, these news outlets that just like repeat the same thing over and over and try to brainwash people. I don't just rely on YouTube channel for my information. I do a lot of digging on my own, GC said. Okay, GC. We make movie stars rich and they treat us like shit too, right, Mark? A lot of them do. Very few of them are like genuine. And then whenever they are, it's like this novel thing. It's like, oh my gosh, what's his face? He's so nice. He's nice to people when they meet him. My friend came out to me today and he said he's in love with me. What do I say? She said, say whatever you want. You know, the papers I was turning in on that bias drift, Lydia, you'll never guess who would accept him and who denied. No, I won't. You tell me, GC. Aliens are very agile. Also, they go through walls and roofs, kidnap and return. Sometimes they not return their experiment. Trump has been told to shut up. Fact, Michael said. Yeah, but like, so this is how I feel about it. I've heard stuff for decades, just like anybody else. I do think that there might be truth to like, we're not alone in the universe, but I also feel like they're going to use anything they can as a distraction or just to lie. I'm not going to be able to. Oh, that's funny, Count Maine. That's funny that you said that because I don't talk about it a lot when I talk about my flu vaccine injury, but I was also injured by an MMR booster when I was younger. And so I didn't realize it was same thing, super sick that night in the hospital, like ER not stayed. And then in and out, they took me to like this children's cancer hospital. I was sick for 6 weeks. I had a fever for 6 weeks. I'm not kidding. It wasn't, nobody ever brought up that. It wasn't even in the realm of possibilities. And then years later, when the flu thing happened, and I said to my mom, remember when I was sick for 6 weeks straight? I think, because I remember that morning, we had a field trip, and I went with my best friend because our boosters were due. You know, we both had to get the same shot. And I went with my friend, and like, I remember that our parents taking us to the clinic. That's like how close we were. We're going to get our boosters together. And that day I was fine until like coming home on the bus, I started to feel really bad. And then I was like super sick, 106-degree fever, but it wasn't that. So that's why when you hear 1 in a million, just keep in mind that most of the time when somebody reacts, even pretty negatively, it's just like brushed off by doctors. And I'm not saying they're all being evil about it, but they're brainwashed themselves, you know, into thinking like it's 1 in a million. And like basically, if it doesn't happen within 1 minute of that injection, cowpox was used for the first ever vaccine for smallpox or inoculation. Yes, B. Kirkman, thank you. That's what I was thinking about. No vaccine is ever 100%, depending on where you're at. You can still get sick. Yes, sounds. And some people are just non-responders, and that's what I said earlier. And I know this can be a really sensitive subject for people. I wouldn't talk about it at all if we hadn't gone through what we went through the last 5 years. Honestly, I don't want to be the reason anybody makes any medical decision, especially when it comes to their children. And I've seen so many moms be so haphazard with that decision, going both ways, honestly. Yeah, and like choosing not to vaccinate, and then they're like, I don't, I'm sorry. You know that they haven't really done their research. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm judging, but it's best pediatrician we ever had. He gave us a binder and he said, before your kids get any, you have to read my report. You literally couldn't tell if he was pro or anti. It was so well like written about both sides. Like, yes, there are absolutely things that happen that we should acknowledge after vaccination. And that's the kind of pediatrician that more of us need. And he's the kind of pediatrician, like if you choose to get any, you know, it would be like, you actually know the doctor's going to not lie to you about the reactions. Hank Williams, third child in real outlaw country, not in the radio friendly bullshit. I don't know what you mean, Hale. Not a jump scare, B. Kirkman said. One of your eyes looks more, yeah, I know, May. And some days that's worse than the others. But yeah, it's a thing. I've been told by many people every single time I go live, there has to be somebody that says something. And most people have asymmetry in their face. I'm surprised people don't talk shit about my teeth more. People used to like constantly say that my teeth were yellow, and I know they're not like white. I had bad veneers. The doctor told me they were permanent ceramic, but they were temporary laminate on my top front. This was years ago when I was vain and I didn't have such good enamel and I couldn't like bright whiten my teeth. And so I went to a dentist and he's like, oh yeah, your enamel's almost gone. And anyways, if voting made a difference, they wouldn't let us do it. Mark Twain said, Turbo said, I've heard that before. Actors and actresses are meat puppets with no original thought. Yeah, they have to be. The people that aren't like that, they don't make it to the top. And just think about like the people that used to be famous, like in the music industry. I don't want to disparage anybody's looks. I'm just saying you didn't have to be like a Barbie doll, right? And like now it's like you have to have the look and you have to it's really crazy. The industry plants. I totally believe most people are industry plants. Like everything, they call it the shitification of things. If you haven't heard that term, like everything's getting worse when it comes to like actual things being made, planned obsolescence, and like our everyday items and appliances and cars. Not only is a shitification of things a real thing when it comes to tangible material things, but I think it's a thing with people. And myself, and my attention span is horrible. I can't read like I used to be able to. I keep trying to get my shit together with like a schedule for YouTube. I'm like having like attention problems, and I'm not complaining. I'm just saying like I'm not evolving as a person. I'm not getting any better, and I just think that this world is definitely at the end of a cycle. Aliens are in the mountains and oceans. I agree with that, Hale. I think at least possible that there's so much in the ocean. Mr. Money, how are you? Allow me to control a nation's money, and I care not know who writes its laws, Mr. Money said. Hale, Sarah, I have a few stashed under my bed, Gloom said. Measles needs to come back in a big way. I have a highlights magazine. It's like from the 60s. It's like the early 60s. Because I know the measles vaccine came out sometime in the 60s, I believe. But it was like this cute little comic talking about how like Jimmy's at home with the measles, but it's okay. In 1 week he'll be okay and at school again. And I know German measles, rubella can make boys sterile. It is in my opinion something more to worry about. And if you didn't know, they put that MMR together and parents immediately said we're seeing reactions and like they try to deny that like putting three things. How do you know what somebody's reacting to when you put three preventative medicines in one day? Like that makes no sense to me. I can't stand that. And then when you get a tetanus shot, I'm pretty sure when you get a tetanus booster, they're giving you the DTaP. And once again, I'm not giving any medical advice. I haven't gotten a tetanus booster, but that's one thing. Like, man, if I got injured and they're like, you should get one, I would really be on the fence about it. I feel like I can't trust them at all. And then I've heard different things about tetanus, and it's like, it's really only possible if you hardly bleed. Starseed children are probably reptilian, Gloom said. Mayor Amschel Rothschild, is that who said, allow me to control a nation's money and I care not who writes its laws? GC, I'm glad you asked. Conservative think tank group accepted, the liberals denied, no joke. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a problem with people who are extreme on either side, right? They just don't, they're echo chambers. And it's interesting to listen to both sides. You'll hear people spin the same story different ways. Sometimes we're not alone, but it's not what people think. The only time the word alien is used in real life context is used to describe humans, Turbo said. Anyone worried about Hanta should also be worried about the plague, Ode said. Yeah, if you weren't here and you still are here, that's what I was saying. We encounter so many different things. We don't have the names. We don't have 10,000 viruses named. Like, we don't even know everything that we're encountering, is my point. And we shouldn't be worried, but I feel like they're definitely trying to propagandize it. Pharmakia is a Greek term that primarily means sorcery or witchcraft, often associated with the use of drugs, potions, and magical arts. It can also refer to the administration of medicine or poison, Turbo said. Yes, the dose makes the poison, right? Hail Slayer, I don't think Amish children get vaccinated. Hail Slayer said, I've heard that some people do. I would be surprised if any of them went by the CDC schedule, but that's just my opinion. I'm just saying we have the most rigorous schedule in the world. But I could see some of them getting some, like you had some bad experiences with some diseases in your family or community before. You'd be surprised. Some Amish people give birth at the hospital. They don't all do it at home. I mean, like they choose to. They never had the goal of doing it at home. Like they can be different. Thanks, so I still don't hear anyone talking about the moon bears attacking our moon base. They won't stop digging in the trash. They are getting smarter, Gleam said. I don't care about looks. I need leaders, Ismail said. Catalina, thank you. There's not everyday normal looking people in Hollywood or the music industry anymore. No, Turbo, and that's part of the problem. That's part of why people like look at a woman like everybody has a big nose that doesn't have like a nose job. And I think it's so cute when women have like little dainty, delicate looking noses. Like I get the appeal of it. It's just like it's not gonna be ever what everybody has. Hey Fuzz, how are you? Stop relying on others, guys. Become self-sufficient. Scripted reality soul said, I agree. Would you consider an accountability coach? My turn. I need an accountability coach. I am trying to get into oil pooling. I made these. I kind of want like one of those little fridges for like makeup, but it would just be for the coconut. I made little coconut oil. I don't know what to call them. There was them teeny little like octagon ice cube trays. They're like honeycomb. But anyways, I saw this person make it. I was like, that's a good idea because I'm just not good about, if I could like grab one of those tabs and put it in my mouth and it melts in my mouth, I might be better at doing it. I did it 2 days in a row. Now I can't remember. But I was like, if I had that little fridge, which I don't want to spend money on one of those things, but if I had one and put it in my bathroom, I would probably be better about doing it. But I also am trying to, once the garden, sorry if you can hear that, I'm putting lotion on my hands. Once the garden is in full swing, oh my God, I am going to try to, once I'm making money too, I want to go to, it's pretty far away, but there's a local butcher shop that's like, they're not organic, but you know, most of it is like mostly grass-fed beef, and it's like Walmart beef prices. They're not more expensive. And then there's this other butcher shop like the other way that it is more expensive. It's like, I'm in South Central, Stephen, if you're still in here. My teeth enamel are crack cocaine, yellow, gold teeth. They look white, but until it snows out, I'm 51. I don't give a fuck no more. Yeah, Hellslayer, you're older. As you get older, your teeth are usually naturally, the dentin show, you know, your enamel thins and the dentin under your enamel is like yellow. And so when people say like they, you know, yeah, that's what is under your white enamel, you know. If aliens have said they travel at speed of light, they also say our galaxy is so big they have never reached end of galaxy and there are billions of galaxies. And yes, Michael. So I am so open-minded. I mean it. I think it's possible there's aliens. I think it's possible this is a special enough place that there isn't, or that the reason we don't see more is because there's different dimensions. I believe in that a lot. And like, why wouldn't we see like even more, you know? Hello from Albania. That's cool. Ome. How are you doing? If you hop in a car and travel at the speed of light and turn the headlights on, what happens? Stephen Wright said, Gloom. I don't know. I'm under the impression that there's no such thing as speed of light, only rate of induction, Turbo said. Now I can explain how light passes through water or glass and then speeds back up again without breaking the law of conservation of energy. Oh, that's so interesting, Turbo. I love stuff. Would that be considered, I'm losing it. What is it called? Something physics. See, that kind of stuff, it goes over my head, but I like hearing other people talk about it. You know what I mean? If you do not believe in UFOs, read the Fort Monmouth incident in the 50s. I don't know if I've heard that before. 100% that if you go back in the bathroom and see an unflushed turd, I guarantee it. Oh, geez. Jester, Democrat men believe that you get rid of tetanus by using tampons. Don't worry about aliens, best you worry about food supply. We have been feeding 12 million more mouths since 2020. Oh, Fuzz, I've been talking about the food supply. No, I agree with you. Between the fertilizer and the fuel costing more, and then the droughts, and who knows what the heck's going to be going on, you know? People don't realize, and that's another reason why it's like people, if they really cared about the environment, if RFK really cared, which I'm sure he probably has talked about, like, it would be like encouraging people local. But I know I live in the middle of farmland. Not everywhere has like farms everywhere. But when you eat local, think about the difference in the way that food is moved around. It's just insane. Some of our meat, I think it's like processed in China. It's like raised here and butchered, then processed in China, and then it comes back. It's just crazy. And like, they don't care about anything but the bottom dollar. Did you guys see speaking of him, RFK talk about like the sperm count? Like, once again, this is something that's like really concerning. And when I heard it, like, I think sperm count declines 1% a year, or I've heard that in men. And it's like, so at a certain point, are they going to be completely infertile? Like, is that the goal? And why isn't anybody talking about it? Well, sure enough, now he's like, you know, talking about it. And that's what I was trying to say the other day. Like, he's a hard person to take seriously. And I feel like that's why he's up there saying all this stuff. And it's like, you know what? us voting with our dollar, we changed stuff. We made it so there was more companies that are like, oh no, we need to take these horrible additives and preservatives. We don't need 5 preservatives. We don't need all these food dyes. People don't like high fructose corn syrup being the first ingredient in everything. Like, we made decisions as consumers that really did help. But of course, it's like our food is still shit and like so much worse than other countries too. But like, I just think it's interesting how, like, I just don't think he deserves any credit for anything. There was already everybody that was aware of these things were aware, and he's not going to change any minds. If anything, he's going to turn them off because they're going to be like, oh yeah, he said it, he's crazy. Like, just like the vaccine left right paradigm thing, that's like, you are either, you believe the science, you're pro-vaccine, you're going to get every booster, you're a lefty, or you're on the right and you're anti-vaccine and you're crazy and you drink raw milk. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I stopped drinking raw milk because, yeah, I didn't want to go through the trouble of heating it up, and I just got paranoid. I would love to get the lowest homogenized, I think it's called, where it's like, it's heated up, but it still has cream that rises to the top. You know, it's like sold in some stores. It's like legal to sell without that label for pet consumption only. But anyways, and that's part of the problem and why there's not going to be any real change because of people being so rigid. And then it's the same thing with GMOs. The people who believe in the science and are pro-vaccine, and I'm not trying to, I'm saying this like this is all stupid. I don't believe people are so rigid. I don't do this myself because I have met varieties of people, but this is how society has been tried to put in conformity of like left science. GMOs are good, and it's so much brainwashing. It's like, just trust anything that experts say because they've never led anybody astray. They've never been paid off. I was listening to something about female stuff, and there was a drug that somebody, like the head of our FDA, didn't allow in our country that did like maim infants. It was so sad, and they were just talking about how, you know, other doctors in other countries are probably, like, she didn't say it, but they were probably paid off. Don't worry about aliens. Best you worry about the food supply. Oh, I already read that. God damn it. Sorry, excuse me. Chemtrails are spreading vaccines. Hail Slayer, it's possible. Can you explain why nobody cares we are being robbed by this administration daily at gas pump? Mister, I think people are just in survival mode, and a lot of them do care. A lot of them, it seemed like their final straw. Like, people finally are losing faith in Trump. I really lost faith with the Epstein files. I like a woman with a big nose, and I like a woman with a tiny porcelain doll nose. My buddy's nickname was Large Nose Bob, my best hunting buddy ever. Rest in peace, Bob. Aw, rest in peace, Bob. I'm sorry to hear you lost a friend. Hail. I know, I just think people can be, especially women, I'm completely straight, but women can be so beautiful in so many different ways. And isn't that what's cool about the world? I don't know what that is, Ananasis. Do you believe in Yakub? Metaphysics. Yes, Turbo. There was another thing I was thinking of, I think. Quantum physics. Yes, Gleam, that's it. Did you hear the theory that aliens are actually us from the future? The reason they have no hair, are smaller and gray, is because they lived underground due to a nuclear winter. That's so interesting, Mr. Money. I don't think. I haven't heard that. I have seen alien ship many years ago, women screaming 200 feet away. They're real and dangerous. Michael, I think you've said that before. Yeah, I believe you. I've known several people that saw things. You taking screenshots of my headphones acting up? I'm sorry, I did take one screenshot, and I'll turn my sound off if you can hear that camera sound. I didn't know you could hear that. No, stop overreacting with the aliens. It's as simple as us not being alone in the universe. We are too stupid for the aliens to utilize. I do think that it's quite possible if there was other life, they're interfering and they're like, you guys aren't going to fuck this up anymore. You're fucking it up too much. I do think that that's a possibility. RFK is on the list. The emails really gloom. I mean, Xenia, thank you. Your name reminds me of Xena, Princess Warrior. I did a really huge detox a little over a year ago, and when I went back to eating after the cleanse and all the food was organic and everything tasted like chemicals. Turbo, I know what you mean. No, I know what you mean. Like, the cleaner you eat, the less sugar you crave, and then like certain things are like literal chemicals. Inflation is real roadkill, getting harder to get along the side of the road. Men never run out of sperm. Or, I'm sorry, Fuzz said that. Men never run out of sperm, Ismail said. Jesus dies for our sins so we may repent and get right with God. To type. If food has more than one ingredient, that's a red flag, Mr. Money said. I live outside dairy farms, lots of cancer. All that fertilizer and cow shit leaches into the rivers and streams and people's wells. Hundreds of years of farming has done its damage. Monsanto is evil. Oh, hail. Yes, that's another thing. I think it was New Zealand. They made limits on the fertilizer they could use. And at first, like, people were like, oh no, not as much profit, not as many crops. But then they realized, well, I don't know if those same people realized, but they proved that the environment was so much better off than when they just allowed them to use however much or whatever much they did let them use. And it's like, so maybe that would be a silver lining to this. Like, oh, it's just so horrible to think about. Oh, thanks, Demin. The Vast of the Night is an excellent spooky movie about UFOs, which is based on real events in the USA Southwest in the 50s. Okay, I'm going to take a screenshot. I don't know if you can hear that because I turned the sound off. B. Kirkman, Thomas Massey only drinks straw milk. I love milk, but I prefer it right from the grocery store. So, like, if you seriously trust your source, I don't look down on people that do it. Like, I do understand people being completely grossed out by it, but if you really trust your source, and I'm sure he does, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure he's got access to something that's like great, and they make sure they clean it really well. I have no opinion on the matter, but our declining birth rate is why there's mass immigration, not to replace, but to fill a void that will soon develop. Turbo, yes. And you know, it's interesting. They do have more children. They, meaning Hispanic people, sorry, but like they tend to assimilate within 3 generations, I think. So it's like a few generations of them will have more children than the women here, but then they're going to be like in alignment with, you know, the averages here. Scientists always agree with their funders, Hale said. Yes. You guys, it's a bunch of romance swindlers in the chat. I lost a very beloved dear friend this week too. I'm beyond heartbroken and shattered. Sizzle, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm sorry. There's no words to say, you know. I know how bad that hurts, and it's just gonna hurt every day the rest of your life. I know that it's just the price you got to pay to have good friends in your life, I guess. But I miss my friend who died in 2019 every day. Not a day goes by. But we have to live in honor of them and do what they would want you to do, which is to live life to the fullest, right? Every last one of them are compromise claims. Yes, and when you learn, so that's what I learned in 2010 the most, was like how they cherry pick. It shouldn't be allowed. So they have this, let's just say they have this new Andes strain hantavirus vaccine. They tested 100 times. 90 of those outcomes are the same, but then 10 of them are like kind of different, and then they'll pick like the best ones from that. So it's really like, well, 95% of the time these weren't the outcomes, but you picked from the handful of tests that were 5%, like there it's 100% of the out. You know what I'm saying? The cherry picking is so real. There's been things like aspartame that were just lobbied into existence. Like they said no year after year, and then, you know, they just kept. And yeah, I think that, thanks, Sunflower. I'm not on any antidepressants. Not that there's anything wrong with that, Recycle. Like I said earlier, I don't fault anybody for taking anything to survive in this world. I really don't. But I do think that there, like somebody mentioned and put it really, really well, there's something to telling us that they're fixing a chemical imbalance without ever having diagnosed legitimately that chemical imbalance, you know, and then proving that that is what is being done. Don't you love the fishtail braid? They are the easiest braid to create. Time consuming. The smaller section looks best when completed. Yes, Lisa, I love it. I'm going to do some pigtails soon. I saw Erica Kirk. I've had the idea before. I think I have done it once or twice, but you know, like 2 fishtails. Some farms are buying human waste from waste stream management to spread on their fields. Really, Hale? That just doesn't seem safe, because, you know, you have to, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't know if they have like year-old human waste, but I don't know, maybe they heat it up. You either have to heat that up very hot, or you have to wait. I'm pretty sure it's over a year. Years. Thomas, she's fine. She just has one of those faces. Mr. Money, here's my opinion on declining birth rate. It has to do with contraceptives, women earning their own money. Lastly, we have designed a just-in-time supply chain economy. It forces you to constantly get to work. Yes, Mr. Money. I think I do agree. I think, okay, so from a woman's perspective, it's like women don't need men as much for resources, and they've divided and conquered us so well. And like, I think it's just the nature of things. It's just like there's going to be exceptions for everything, but most women that have a career, they want a man within the same like arena. A man that has a career and a bunch of stuff going for him, he doesn't have to necessarily, as a matter of fact, he kind of prefers the opposite of, it's just all these interesting dating dynamics make for, there's a lot of women who chose career first, and a lot of them want it like that. They want to be child free, and I think that's great. I think that's awesome. I really do. When a woman wants to be child free, and she is, there's a part of me that's like happy for her in kind of a weird way. Honestly, it's kind of like, I'm so glad I was a mom. But whenever I come across a woman who hasn't had to put her body through that and is like happy with her choice, I think that's great. And yeah, I think that it's always something that should have happened more, but people were just so pressured into like, this is what you do, like you're worthless if you don't have children. And like, so less people are doing that. So, but I do agree a lot of it has to do with hormonal contraceptives and just the economy. But I also think that it's unfortunate, but there are lonely people. Everybody is not the best version of themselves when they're in survival mode. Gloom, a depression quote. The funny thing about depression is all depression really is the lack of control to obtain a different outcome. Aw. Yeah, I still like my favorite depression quote better. Depression is lack of expression. I just love that. Get to work, Mr. Money. So, you literally described replacement, you goon. Recycle said to Turbo. The reason interstellar travel goes beyond physics to quantum mechanics is QMS is what is it? What's Q is M mass. Ass is the possibility of reaching speed of light. GC said. Sorry, Sizzle, losing an anchor is tough, Gloom said. Thanks, Sizzle said. Thank you, Cerulean King. Can I have a compass to your... You said compass to your compass? I'm sorry, it's getting late. Palace. My double wide palace. I self-medicate. Trust Big Pharma or the street. You choose. Right, Hale. I know. So I do take kratom every day, and if you ever see my pupils are smaller, I mean, I have a bright light shining in my face, and I'm open about that. I don't recommend it, but like, yeah, I am dependent, and I take it every day. I think that there's lots of adults that take kratom every day. I just in conversation, it seems like a quarter of the people that I get to know also take it every day, like me, and I think that's a thing that that's an issue. It's not great to take anything every single day, but once again, I don't fault anybody. I almost don't see how you couldn't take something. Oh, you too, Travis. Just love you too, Travis, if that's what you're saying. Would you send your child to space if NASA offered you 50 million? No, Nathan. No. Who here took COVID vaccine and have you had bad side effects, serious side effects? Michael is asking. We are the aliens. Also, there's another factor involved here, intellect. Not saying there isn't intelligent life elsewhere, but to become aware is a greater value in intelligence than the odds drop. Yes, GC. I still think it has something to do with the fallen angels in the Bible, like that, like the Rh negative blood types. Thankfully, I live out near Amish in the country. Been here for 27 years. Their horses love me. We smell the same, Buzz said. Human waste from a treatment plant. That's a lot of forever chemicals. Oh, yeah, good point, Edge. Yes, it's mainly the economy, as he said. I think that a lot of it is social. But yeah, if the economy wasn't so bad, would so many women be making that choice? I know. But it does seem like there's like, and honestly, it does make me kind of sad sometimes. I'm like, I've had younger coworkers, like women in their 20s, open up to me about how they don't know. Like, I knew I wanted kids. Well, I already had kids in my 20s, but like, I knew. And it's kind of like this phenomenon, like, I don't. And not as many kids want to drive, and that's completely okay if your kid doesn't want to drive. Like, I think that's a good thing that they're not like so, but it's just interesting to me. Do you guys know what I mean? It's like less kids want to get their driver's licenses nowadays. One of my boys has his, one doesn't. No, it's true, and the nitrogen is so high, the corn only gets barely waist high for like 7 years. Um, it's pretty crazy how they've used chemicals. They've made fertilizer out of chemicals when I know a lot of people crap on permaculture principles, but it's like you can have a closed loop system where you create everything you need. Granted, maybe they won't have enough like cow shit depending on how much acreage they have, but it just makes so much more sense to not be dependent on anything else. After guys get divorced, they lose trust, same as women. Then you rely on temporary love, has said. Yeah, I think a lot of it is trauma for sure. And I hear some stories, and the first thing I think is, how is that person ever going to be able to trust anybody again? And that's so sad, you know? Cheating is so horrible. But more men get remarried than women. Men are like more likely to get remarried. A woman is more likely not to. If you look at where we are located in our universe, we are well out in the expansion, GC said. Oh, have you seen that term, we're underbabied? Dr. Oz said that, I believe, recently at a White House press conference. It might have been the same one where RFK was talking about sperm count. We're underbabied. Seriously? That is such a ridiculous thing to say. And it's funny to me as somebody that did have 3 babies, and like, I'm not saying this about like everybody, but like there was a lot of disdain from general society. Trust me. And it's like now they're like, the problem is 15 to 19-year-olds aren't having as many babies. It's insane. As somebody who had her first baby at 19, there's a lot of people who were great, but I swear the doctor that delivered him like shook my hand. My IV was in it, and he like grabbed my hand so hard when he shook it. I swear to God, he did it on purpose to hurt my hand because he thought I was some young teenage whore. Nobody can convince me otherwise. And I've said this before. It was the funniest thing, the way that people would look at me when they saw my pregnant tummy, like the look of horror. Talk about a jump scare. The look of horror on some men's faces. It's like, I remember one time, like this guy looking at me, and I walked out. It was like the checkout aisle, you know, and then I walked out and he could see my tummy, and it's just like, it's like the way men look at a pregnant young lady, you know, like somebody that's like pretty young. I was obviously not 12 years old. I mean, God, poor girls that have to go through it any younger than 19. I couldn't imagine. Hi, Frank, if you're still in here. How are you? Now, if you follow the anthropic scale, we are the advanced species. Lydia is an alien, y'all. JC said, I'm not trying to say that like I think I'm better or special when I bring up the RH negative stuff, but I definitely wouldn't be super surprised. How can you live without a car or driving? I'm talking about like 16-year-olds, Dylan, like when kids are in high school. And I've heard, other people have brought this up. This isn't something I just came up with on my own. Like, I actually had somebody bring it up last week when I was, anyways. And I was really proud of my 16-year-old, but there's nothing wrong with not getting it. Did I say hi to Frank? Hi, Frank, if I didn't say hi to you. Car insurance, gotta let me. I got 4 cars, Ismail said. I don't know, Josh. That's funny that you say that because I didn't know until I started recording myself how I've had a few sinus surgeries and I have no idea. Somebody's talking about how I don't move my mouth that much when I talk. And like, I know somebody called me a ventriloquist one time. It was so funny. Aliens, fallen angels, Satan has power. Only Christ Jesus is above all in the universe. Amen, Michael said. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with I definitely believe in God, and I'm open to Jesus being a part of that. And I think that that's great compared to what some people believe in. Ismail. No, my jaw is not broken. You like talking about science until I join in. That hurt. Oh, JC. They don't know who the beauty and benefits. They don't know the beauty and benefits when wife is pregnant, Pete said. Hi, David. I don't know what you mean by that. I think I know what you mean by that. God created Eve, so he is a single mother. WMG said, Hale, they can't be on their phone all day and drive too. Yeah, right, Hale. Michael, parents cannot afford teens' car insurance. Insurance is destroying America. Yeah, Michael, ours almost doubled. That did kind of suck. But anyways, I'm not complaining about it. My kid's great. He's working too, although, you know, he's not paying for the car insurance, but man, if he was making more than what they're paying him, I might ask him for help. Hi, Super, how are you doing? And I said, hi, David, right? But yeah, I do think there's something too that they can't be on their phone. Yeah, they're like entertained. They have all the socialization that like we were crawling up the walls to get 20 years ago. Parents cannot, I already read them. I think the earth is flat. I'm serious, Ismail said. Well, that's cool, Ismail. Everybody's welcome here. I looked into the flat earth theory because I'm just curious about any and everything somebody would call a conspiracy theory. And so I do understand some of the points, but I think I believe in hollow earth. I think that they're lying to us about something. But anyways, I'm 39 count Maine. Oh, Jose, thank you, because there's always somebody pointing out how one eye is smaller than the other. I do need to go. I mean, it's late and my phone is on 10%, but you guys are so sweet. So I think my audio is okay. I used to use earbuds. Now I'm like, for the last 18 months, I probably shouldn't have even been using those things in my ears. But I'm just gonna like keep doing this until I can get a microphone, which will probably be a few weeks or something else. Hi. From down under, car insurance is not compulsory in Australia. Really, Jason? I've heard people say Mennonites don't have to pay it, and then I looked it up, and I think there's some Mennonites that are exempt from it because they still drive cars. Basketballs are flat, just like Earth, Michael said. Ha ha ha. Okay, love you guys, and thank you for listening to me. Once again, this was not medical advice at all. I can't stress that enough. I know I have a lot to say, but that's the whole point. Is and it's not to scare anybody. It's to think about every day you've been alive. You've encountered seriously countless pathogens. So don't let anybody worry you about one virus. And if you do get worried and you need somebody to talk to, I'm always here. Oh, love you guys. Good night.